Thank you all for being here today. So excited to have the Secretary here to welcome him to the heart of Illinois 3. And the heart doesn't beat any faster than it's here with this great backdrop, right? The heart of transportation in our nation and Illinois 3. Today, I could not be more honored to have Secretary Buttigieg here, but also want to welcome Governor Pritzker, my fellow colleagues, President Ryder, Bill Thompson, Aaron Edelman, Commissioners Biaggi and Osman, and many other leaders from the railroad community, all of our partners working hard together here today. Today, we're standing in one of the largest intermodal yards in the United States of America, the CSX Belt Railway Intermodal Yard. Rarely does a rail car traveling transcontinentally not come through here. In fact, almost 1 in 4. This site alone employs hundreds of good-paying union jobs, from freight train conductors to rail operators and so much more. The railroads we toured today represent one of the most environmentally friendly and energy-efficient ways to move goods across our nation. Without this site, cities and towns from the East Coast, right on target, right? Punctuating it all for me. Without this site, cities and towns from the East Coast to the West Coast would not receive the goods that they rely on literally every day. And this is exactly why I invited Secretary Buttigieg today. So we could show off all of these amazing technologies, but also the human power that is here today. This state, including my district, of course, should serve as a model for the country. And we talked about that inside. CREATE can be a national model very easily, and we hope it does. From commuter rail to freight lines to international airports, and not to mention transit accessibility and affordability, we are building world-class transportation systems across our communities in Illinois. So once again, Secretary Buttigieg, thank you so much for visiting our great state and my district. All of us here today look forward to building back better together in the coming months. And with that, I want to introduce the leader of our state and a fellow infrastructure nerd, I might add, Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you to Congresswoman Newman and to all of our federal partners that stand here today. I'm very, very pleased to welcome Secretary Buttigieg to Chicago, to the state of Illinois. We are here today to highlight the American Jobs Plan, the infrastructure bill that will help to rebuild all of the United States infrastructure. So important for the state of Illinois because we're the crossroads of America. This is where not only people, rail transportation, carrying passengers come through every single day more than any other state, but also cargo. And we got to see that just moments ago, how efficient this operation is here at CSX. I'm very pleased to lead a state where we already have made a major commitment to infrastructure. CNBC just the other day recognized Illinois as the #1 state in the country for infrastructure. And when Secretary Buttigieg and President Biden passed the American Jobs Plan in Washington, D.C., we're going to be able to accelerate all of what we had plans for and much, much more. Broadband, our airports, our roads, our bridges, our schools. So I want to express my appreciation to Secretary Buttigieg, to, again, our congressional delegation, and to all who are involved in helping to press this plan forward. And I'll turn it back to Congresswoman Newman.
So without much ado, we're going to go ahead and invite Secretary Buttigieg up to say a few words. Secretary.
Thank you. Well, thank you. We just had a remarkable firsthand look at what is powering the American economy, and I'm so glad to be here. Representative Newman, thank you for welcoming us to your district. Thank you for your support for the work that we're doing, and the same goes to all of the members of our congressional delegation who here today include Representative Kasten, Representative Foster, Congressman Quigley, and Representative Schneider. Also delighted to be joined by County President Preckwinkle, who was innovating in local government before it was cool. And so glad to be with Governor Pritzker. Governor, thank you for your support for the President's vision for the American Jobs Plan. Congratulations on earning that honor for the state of Illinois. And it really reflects what happens when there's a decision to step up and have literally have leaders putting money where their mouth is to make sure that there are investments in the future of infrastructure. Illinois has done it, local communities have done it, now Washington needs to do it, and that's exactly what we have an opportunity to do right in front of us now with the President's economic agenda and the bipartisan infrastructure framework. What we saw here is remarkable. This is the third largest terminal in the United States by volume, where 1 in 4 freight trains passes through Chicago, and so many of them come right through this facility. And it's tied in with the CREATE partnership, which is the largest public-private partnership of its kind to create improvements that are supported, we're proud to say, federally by Federal Highways, by the Federal Rail Administration, and we recently announced one of the projects contemplated in this vision, supported by the latest round of infra grants that our department puts forward. These benefit all of the major priorities of our administration. Safety, especially when you're able to eliminate a grade crossing and create one of those conflict points. By one estimate, 200 crashes a year prevented by the upgrades that are part of this vision. It benefits equity. We've heard from the labor leaders who are here and from the elected leaders who are here about the work that's being done to make sure that there are more workers, including workers of color who have not historically been part of these trades, who are represented. But also from an equity perspective, it's about making sure that those safety benefits in the communities that are likeliest to be near facilities where there's a lot of freight throughput benefit. It's important from a climate perspective because when we can have a piece of cargo going on America's rails instead of standing alone in a truck, that's taking emissions out of our air. And of course, jobs, jobs, jobs. The jobs that are supported here directly, the jobs that are supported indirectly across the country by the right kind of infrastructure investment. Again, we see on the ground public-private partnerships getting it done. We have Commissioner Buttigieg in the city of Chicago. We were with the mayor earlier today. Cities getting it done with the resources that they have. States stepping up under the governor's leadership to put together the resources. But it is time, after far too many infrastructure weeks that turned into punchlines, it is time to actually do it. And that's what Democrats and Republicans across the country believe we ought to do. Now we want to see Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill do the same, and we have a historic opportunity in front of us. So delighted to be here and happy to take a few questions as time allows.
Secretary, the Red Line Extension project you drew attention to earlier today, some estimates the earliest that gets started is 2025, finished by 2028. From 2008, the stimulus project, everybody's used to shovel ready and seeing these things happen right away. Can you speak to kind of the long-term nature of some of these investments?
Yeah.
Why that's important?
Yeah, so the American Jobs Plan and the infrastructure vision is looking beyond stimulus. The American Rescue Plan was about bringing us back from the brink of the economic abyss. But this is about more than just coming back from COVID. This is about making sure we have a vision for the next 10, 20, 50 years. Some of these ideas that we'll fund with these dollars, if we get them, are shovel-ready. Some of the things that the governor was emphasizing, things in the CREATE program that could happen that much faster if there were funding. But this isn't just about what's shovel-ready, it's about what's shovel-worthy. And that's one of the reasons why we're proud to support not just construction, but design. To take something that is a great vision that somebody has for 2037 and move it into the next few years so that we can get the safety, economic, equity, and climate benefits from that sooner. All right.
I have two COVID-related questions for the Secretary and the Governor. Secretary, there's been talk of easing the mask requirements on airplanes and on public transit. Where does DOT stand?
Well, you know, like all Americans, I'm impatient for us to get to that point. It's of course driven by science, driven by public health, and it's something that's being revisited constantly as we see this race between the vaccines and the variants play out. What I'll say is this: everyone can play a role in getting us to that point where we don't need these masks on an airplane or a subway or anywhere else. Everyone can play a hand in getting us to the point where we are truly back to the things we used to rely on. And that's by making sure everyone gets vaccinated. That is the surest way toward being able to reopen international travel like we'd like to and be back to normal in every respect. There's been terrific leadership here in Chicago and in the state of Illinois, but there's a long way to go. A lot of people who still have questions, some people who are getting misinformation, and I thought the Surgeon General's warning about misinformation was powerful and timely. And so we need to keep supporting each other and getting their questions answered and getting access to that life-saving vaccine.
And Governor, as you know, some school districts have, approved policies that make mask wearing voluntary. And as you know, kids 11 and under are eligible for vaccines. So
That's right.
I just wanted to know, are you okay with that? And what do you think are the best practices for schools to keep kids under 12 safe when classes start?
Well, as you know, we adopted the CDC's recommendations for schools, which essentially says if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. If you're not vaccinated, you should wear a mask. But that doesn't mandate anything. What it does is say to school districts, you should make decisions that are appropriate for your communities. So families should be involved in making decisions for their own families, and school districts and school boards will make decisions for the schools within their districts. I think that's very important, that kind of local control and decision making, because it is true that different areas of the state suffer differently from COVID-19. As you know, Missouri is one of the most difficult states right now in terms of their challenges with COVID, and it bleeds over into the Illinois side of the river in Metro East and other areas in southern Illinois. So it's important that they make decisions to keep their students safe in that area, differently perhaps than some other part of the state that's got a much lower rate of infection.
Governor, following up on the masks, if you could, Las Vegas is now recommending masks inside, LA County, San Francisco. Are you considering going back to requiring masks inside, and if not, where are you saying?
Well, as I've said for some number of weeks now, I do recommend that people who are going inside, who are with a lot of people in a room, that it is appropriate to bring your mask, wear your mask. Some people feel safer that way. It's maybe an appropriate thing for many people who are immunocompromised. So at the moment, we're encouraging people to do what's comfortable for them in those environments. Obviously, we've got rising rates of infection in certain parts of the state, and decisions will be made if those areas continue to have rising infection rates about whether or not we need to impose some different standard for those areas.
You're not looking at an indoor mask mandate statewide now at this point, or in any particular region?
Look, as you know, this virus has been unpredictable, and so we're always open to making changes in policy in order to keep people safe and healthy. That's been my primary concern, so we'll continue to look at that.
Governor, if this bill were to pass, what impact would it have on your own transportation program, Rebuild Illinois? And does that mean things get built faster? Does that mean you're adding more projects to the list? Walk us through how that might actually take effect.
Well, I think the Secretary said it best. There are projects that I think people have been dreaming about, but desiring, and that may not have started until 2028 or 2030, that we might be able to move forward as a result of this massive new jobs plan, this massive new infrastructure plan. So we're looking at all of those opportunities. We don't want to get the cart before the horse here, so to speak, but we absolutely are excited about the new projects that we could take on as a result of this major infrastructure plan.
Let's give Rachel the last question over here.
Well, I think we're pretty well in unity. We're all on the ground every day, and I think everybody's ready to vote for this. We got all of our priorities in there. We didn't exactly get to the optimal number that we wanted, but we knew that going in, right? And so it's always a compromise between our colleagues across the aisle and ourselves, and I think we can get this done. And I'll quote President Biden going into his meeting yesterday, let's go get this done.